everyone, welcome back to another Call of Duty mobile video. Today I'll be sharing some tips on how to push for the hardpoint in Call of Duty mobile. This video to an extent is the part 2 to my previous video entitled How to Win More Games While Solo Ranking. These tips are ones I learned by watching pro players in tournaments or streams, and at the same time from my personal experience while ranking in Legendary. So after 3 ranked seasons of playing hardpoint, I thought that maybe some of these things will find some use in other people's. I thought that maybe a lot of people out there will find some of these tips useful. So for tip number 1, this is something I've actually only recently used the past week because I honestly think this got a secret buff from Call of Duty Mobile, and it is to maximize the K9 unit operator.
Systems incoming. Destroy enemy's XS-1. UAV recon ready for deployment. UAV online.
So the K9 unit operator is actually a new addition to the operator family for Call of Duty Mobile and is actually very useful and perfect for hardpoint. I see it as more of like a silent shock RC that can kill you with one bite. So it's actually really good for pushing hardpoint, especially if the enemies were ahead of you in securing it.
Lost the lead. Hardpoint locked down. It's too close.
Although keep in mind that the K9 unit actually is affected by the shock RC, so it can get shocked.
Enemy shock RC is coming.
And also when you do die, it immediately dies as well.
Hardpoint is ours.
For tip number 2, try using concussion as your tactical. I know in my previous video I did mention that trophy system is your best friend, and yes, you're correct, it is our best friend. It really helps us play objective effectively, especially for hardpoint. But when it comes to concussion grenades, it's actually very useful, especially if your enemy is also thinking ahead, meaning they actually reach point ahead of you, therefore there's someone you have to pick off before you and your teammates can actually secure point. You'll be able to stun your enemies long enough to actually push and actually pick them off one at a time.
Destroyed. UAV online. Friendly shock RC is coming. Hardpoint is ours.
Tip number 3, remember the triple P principle, which honestly I just made up on my own. So the triple P is pace around, pick off enemies, and push together. Common mistake many players do when they do play hardpoint is that they go straight into the hardpoint without even looking around, without making sure that it's safe. That's how a lot of people actually die from behind. Take your time, slide around, look around for enemies, and make sure that the coast is clear. If you see someone, pick them off right off the bat, and once you're near point, make sure that you're not alone, because if the enemy does have the hard point and there's more than 2 of them inside and you're the only one pushing, then most likely than not you're gonna die. Best to push 2 to 3 people at a time. Better like if everyone actually goes to the hard point altogether, just to secure point. Once you secure it, then maybe 1 or 2 people go out and take power positions. Just don't rush into a point. It's not effective. What you're doing is actually feeding your enemies, and if you're feeding them, you're gonna give them score streaks, and it's gonna make it harder for you to actually win the match. And also another effective move when you actually want to push hard point is the slide peek.
Lost the lead.
much as possible, do master the slide peek movement if you're new to the game. That's something that you'll be able to search in other videos. You'll learn that in other people's tips and tricks videos. Tip number 4, take down UAVs. It's true that the UAVs do not give your exact location, but it gives enough intel for the enemy to figure out which general direction you and your teammates are coming from.
Recon ready for deployment.
That's why me personally, I don't really like running other secondaries other than the FHJ unless
Hardpoint identified.
Tip number 5, learn how to use hipfire. For all of the game modes currently in the game, hipfire is most important in hardpoint because most likely than not, you'll end up in a lot of close quarter encounters with your enemies, especially if you play objective a lot or if you do want to be a better or more effective objective player.
Deployed. Hardpoint identified. Enemy spotted.
So just a recap for the 5 tips that I shared with you today. Number 1 is to maximize the K9 unit operator, which was recently introduced to the game. Number 2, try the concussion tactical, especially if your enemies are holding control of the point. Number 3, remember the triple P, which is pace around, pick off enemies, and push together. Number 4, take down UAVs. And number 5, learn to use hipfire. So yeah, that's all for my video today. If you like this video, if you like the content, do leave it a thumbs up, subscribe,